My world in Maple Creek, Ohio, always felt pretty straightforward. I'm Ethan Miller, 20 years old and a junior at the state university. My family isn't rich, but they are incredibly supportive, and I've always poured myself into my engineering studies. I like the challenge of taking complex problems and finding elegant solutions. I guess you could say I'm a bit of a perfectionist, always aiming high, and I'm proud of the good grades I've earned. For the past 2 years, my world had also included Sarah. We were that couple, the ones everyone thought would end up together. She was smart, ambitious, and beautiful. Her parents, though, were a different story. They were well off, and I always felt this subtle judgment from them, especially her mother, who often made little comments about future prospects and connections. But I loved Sarah, and I was making my own future, working hard on a major capstone project that was going to be presented at the annual University Awards Gala. I was also on the shortlist for a really prestigious departmental scholarship, a scholarship that would truly change things for me and my family. This gala was a huge deal, a chance to show everyone, especially Sarah's mother, that I was more than just some kid from Maple Creek with big dreams. I was making them happen. Then, just 1 week before the gala, my world shattered. Sarah called me, her voice strangely calm, and ended things. She told me she had found someone more aligned with her future, someone whose family had more connections, someone who could open doors. It wasn't just the breakup that stung, it was the cold, calculating way she dismissed everything we had, everything I was working towards. It felt like she was saying my hard work, my passion, my future, none of it was good enough for her or her family. And then the ultimate punch to the gut. She announced she would be attending the gala with her new boyfriend, Chad. Chad was also in my engineering program and a direct competitor for that very scholarship. The embarrassment hit me like a physical blow. I was devastated, heartbroken, and now I had to face this incredibly public, high-stakes event alone. I was supposed to be celebrating my achievements with Sarah by my side. But instead, I would be walking in a room full of my peers, professors, and parents, knowing that everyone knew I had been replaced. I could already picture Sarah's mother, her lips pursed in that familiar smug smile, practically shouting, "I told you so," without saying a word. I felt a deep, burning ache in my chest, a mix of grief and humiliation. My problem was no longer just a broken heart. It was a shattered sense of self, exposed for all to see. For a few days, I just wanted to disappear. The idea of going to that gala, seeing Sarah and Chad together, and facing Sarah's mother's condescending glances filled me with dread. I thought about faking a sickness, anything to avoid the spotlight of my own failure. My older sister, Maya, who's 22 and studying at a different university nearby, could tell something was seriously wrong even over the phone. She drove all the way to Maple Creek that weekend, found me holed up in my apartment, and immediately understood. She was furious for me. "You are not skipping that gala, Ethan Miller," she declared, her voice firm. "You worked too hard for this. You're going, and you're going to hold your head high." She suggested I find a date, not just to show Sarah I was fine, but to have someone there who truly supported me. The thought made me cringe. I felt awkward and out of place, like a puppy who'd just been kicked. Maya's boyfriend Leo, who's 23 and incredibly laid back but sharp, overheard us talking. "My sister Chloe," he said, tapping his chin thoughtfully. "She's 19, bright as a button, sharp as a tack, and unbelievably charming. She'd make an amazing date, and she loves a good challenge." He set us up for a casual coffee. I was nervous, but Chloe was a whirlwind of positive energy, genuinely interested in my projects and my story. We talked for hours, laughing, and for the first time in days I felt a flicker of hope. We even went out for dinner a few nights later, and I started to think maybe, just maybe, this could be more than just a date for the gala. My confidence slowly began to return. I felt good about attending the gala with Chloe by my side. I felt ready to face Sarah, Chad, and especially Sarah's mother. The night of the gala arrived. Chloe looked stunning, and her presence gave me a quiet strength. We walked in, and I immediately spotted Sarah and Chad already holding court near the entrance, looking every bit the golden couple. Sarah's mother caught my eye from across the room and gave me that familiar, pitying yet smug look that used to make my blood boil. I took a deep breath, squeezed Chloe's hand, and focused on the reason I was there, my project. I presented my capstone project with confidence, explaining the intricate details and the innovative solutions I'd developed. It went well, I thought. I felt proud of the work I'd done. Later, the scholarship announcements began. My heart pounded in my chest. This was it, the moment I had been working towards for years. The main departmental scholarship was announced first. The dean spoke, describing the exemplary student chosen for their academic excellence, leadership, and potential. Then he called Chad's name, not mine. My breath caught in my throat. I felt a crushing wave of defeat, disappointment, and humiliation wash over me. It felt like a public validation of Sarah's choice, a public declaration that Chad was indeed superior. They called my name moments later for a runner-up prize, a commendable achievement, but not the top honor I desperately wanted. Even with Chloe gently squeezing my arm, offering me a comforting smile, the sting was immense. I felt like a complete failure. All my efforts to move on, to show strength, to prove myself had backfired in the most public way possible. As I stood there trying to compose myself, I overheard Sarah's mother, her voice a little too loud, remarking to a friend, "Well, some people just aren't cut out for the top tiers, are they? It's all about connections, you know." Her words, meant for my ears, hit their target perfectly. I felt exposed, inadequate, and utterly, totally defeated. My lowest point was not just losing the scholarship, but having my perceived failure amplified by the very people I wanted to prove wrong. My sister Maya had seen it all unfold. She saw the crushing disappointment on my face when Chad's name was called, and she definitely overheard Sarah's mother's snide remark. I could see the anger simmering in her eyes. She had been stewing for years over the little put-downs and condescending remarks Sarah's mother had dished out, subtly diminishing my accomplishments and my family. As we sat through the rest of the ceremony, Maya leaned over and whispered, "Don't worry, little brother. This isn't over." Her words were a balm to my wounded pride. She, Leo, Chloe, and a few of Maya's friends from her university had already discussed a backup plan, a wild, crazy idea that had seemed unnecessary until now. The gala included a segment where each recipient of a significant award would walk across the stage, and their name would be read aloud as they received a plaque from the university president. Sarah's mother had been practically gloating all evening, making sure everyone knew how proud she would be to hear Chad's name called for the main scholarship. It was her moment of triumph, her public validation of her daughter's upgrade. Then came the moment. The university president stepped to the podium. "And now for the recipient of this year's prestigious Dean's Engineering Scholarship, please welcome." The president paused for dramatic effect, and I saw Chad begin to straighten his tie, a confident smile on his face. Sarah's mother had her phone out ready to record, a triumphant smirk already forming. Chadwick Thorne, as Chad's full name was announced, and he took his first confident step towards the stage. Maya, Leo, Chloe, and their friends unleashed a synchronized symphony of air horns. It wasn't just one or two, it sounded like dozens. They were strategically placed throughout the audience, some even discreetly hidden outside a back door, timed perfectly. The sudden, deafening blast completely drowned out Chad's name, echoing through the auditorium with an ear-splitting intensity. It wasn't just a loud noise, it was an assault on the senses. The entire auditorium erupted into chaos and confused murmurs. People jumped, some clutching their ears, others laughing hysterically, and many looking around angrily, trying to pinpoint the source of the ruckus. Sarah's mother, frozen mid-motion with her phone still raised, looked absolutely distraught, her hand flying to her chest, her face a mask of fury, embarrassment, and profound disappointment. Her big moment, the one she had anticipated for months, the public validation of her daughter's brilliant choice and Chad's superiority, was utterly and completely stolen from her, drowned out by a cacophony of sound. Chad on stage looked bewildered, his triumphant walk turning into an awkward shuffle as he tried to figure out what was happening. The entire ceremony descended into an absurd, chaotic farce for a solid minute. The university staff scrambled, looking around frantically, trying to regain control, but the damage was already done. The air horns stopped as suddenly as they started, leaving an eerie silence that was quickly filled with murmurs and uncomfortable coughs. Chad, flustered and red-faced, had already received his award, his moment of recognition utterly marred by the unforgettable, deafening cacophony. After the ceremony, I saw Sarah's mother cornering an event coordinator, her face tight with anger, complaining bitterly about the disrespectful hooligans who had ruined her son-in-law's big moment. The coordinator, looking frazzled and defeated, could only offer empty apologies, unable to pinpoint the culprits or, more importantly, reverse time. Maya, Leo, Chloe, and I exchanged a silent, triumphant look. The immediate satisfaction of seeing Sarah's mother's face, her carefully constructed facade of superiority utterly shattered, was immense. It was a beautiful, petty, perfect revenge. 7 months have passed since that memorable gala. Life, as it turns out, has a funny way of sorting itself out. I'm doing incredibly well. That initial sting of not winning the top scholarship pushed me to work even harder on my projects, to innovate, to prove to myself that I was more than capable. I'm now excelling in my classes, and I even received a special commendation for my continued academic excellence, catching the eye of a few professors who weren't just looking for connections. More importantly, Chloe and I are deeply in love. Her brightness, her unwavering optimism, and her genuine interest in my world are the perfect counter to my quiet determination. I'm happier than I ever was with Sarah, truly. Our relationship is built on mutual respect and genuine affection, not on some external validation or social climbing. The incident at the gala has become a legendary story among our friends, a shared laugh that always brings a smile to our faces. But the universe, it seems, sometimes has an extra little twist in store. Just last week, I received an anonymous email. It contained a scanned copy of a university disciplinary notice for disrupting a public event. It was addressed to Chad. Apparently, Sarah's mother's incessant complaints after the gala, her repeated demands for justice, actually led to a lengthy university investigation. While the Airhorn culprits were never identified, Maya and her crew were far too clever. The university, under pressure to show they were taking the matter seriously, identified Chad as the primary beneficiary of the stolen moment. In a bizarre, almost unbelievable twist of fate, due to a new, stricter campus policy regarding public decorum at sponsored events that had been enacted after the gala but was somehow applied retroactively to major incidents, Chad's scholarship has been put on probation, and he's been required to perform community service for bringing discredit to a university award. The official university statement cited the unfortunate incident that overshadowed the recognition of certain achievements, subtly implying that the very disruption itself reflected poorly on the awardees, especially the most prominent one. I read the email again, a slow, genuine, contented smile spreading across my face. The poetic justice of it all was almost too perfect. Sometimes, when you think everything is over, the world finds a way to add an extra layer to revenge, proving that karma, or perhaps a really persistent older sister, truly does have a wicked sense of humor.